Hey everyone, Bill Sheridan with the Maryland Association of CPAs. You know, it's no secret that the nature of lifelong learning is changing. In fact, it has been for some time now. While technical skills are still vitally important, so called soft skills, those are things like communication and leadership, collaboration, those things are more important than ever before. But perhaps the most important skill in this changing and complex world is one that no one is talking about. It's anticipation. That's the ability to see what's going to happen and position our organizations to make the most of those opportunities. There is one voice in the wilderness, though, who understands the importance of anticipation. That's futurist and best-selling author Dan Burrus. I had a chance to speak with Dan recently about why anticipation is so important and how we all can learn to be more anticipatory. That's the cool thing, right? This is a skill that we can actually learn how to do. Here's Dan Burrus.
Anticipation is really the big missing competency. I mean, we're all good at reacting, we're good at responding, we're good at putting out fires, we're trying to be agile, we're trying to be lean, and we're really pretty good at that too. As a matter of fact, we're pretty good at executing strategy. And as we all know, that didn't help Blockbuster, BlackBerry, Sony, Dell, Microsoft, HP, and countless others. So what are we missing? What's the missing competency? And that is the ability to anticipate. And what do we anticipate? Well, we anticipate problems before they happen, disruptions before they disrupt, customer changes and shifts and needs before others can see those things happen, even new opportunities before others can see them, before your competition can see them. So it seems like you can't anticipate anything. What could you anticipate? It's only death and taxes, and that's about it. And the answer is, well, just like after fall we know there's winter, and just like an astronomer can tell you when 2030 in May, when the exact day a full moon will happen, and we know there are economic cycles and business cycles and weather cycles and biological cycles, we also know that there are linear changes. Once you get a smartphone, you're not going back to a dumb phone. So if we look at all of the, get this, hundreds of certainties that we can see once you learn how, once we look at the hard trends that will happen, even if you don't like them, they're going to happen anyway. Or the soft trends, we separate the soft trends out that might happen and we may want to influence. We have a new sense of power, a way to direct our future, a way to shape the future in a positive way. Yeah. So why is this needed so much today? And that is, well, today is not like yesterday. The world's fastest supercomputer 2 years ago was disassembled 4 months ago because it was already obsolete. 43% of IBM's revenue last year came from products and services that were impossible to do 2 years earlier. So we are at a unique inflection point of time. Our profession has already started to shift in a big way, and it's happening fast. And the drivers of that speed are basically three things: processing power, storage, and bandwidth. You probably heard of Moore's Law. Processing power doubles every 18 months as the price drops in half. Well, there's no end in sight of that. I've just worked with Intel execs and others. The agreement is, wow, it's still going. Well, doubling doesn't create a graph that goes like that. It creates a graph that goes like that. In other words, to go from a 5 megahertz chip to a 500 took 20 years. To double that took 8 months. Well, we're in the big deal phase now. That's why we didn't have Netflix 5 or 10 years ago. Bandwidth, storage, and processing power wasn't there. That's why even though Apple understood and conceived of the iPhone in 2000, they couldn't put it out then. Why? Bandwidth, storage, and processing power weren't ready. But we know exactly where they are now. By the way, they're ready for those things. But we also can predictably see where they're going. And now I'm going to cut to the chase. They're going to transformation. We're transforming every business process in a short amount of time. And it's going to happen. Here's the soft trend. Will you do it? I don't know. But it's going to happen anyway. So what I'm doing is giving you, with this system, a new level of choice so that you can see what's going to happen before it happens. By the way, if you could see what's going to happen before it happens, you have an advantage. All right, so by becoming anticipatory, we can definitely take advantage as a CPA. For example, As a CPA, we know we bill for time, yet we also know as a future fact that technology is letting us do things faster and faster and faster. Well, what does that mean? Well, just kind of add that up to your hours, and what does that mean? Just let time pass and you're going to be making less hours. You got less billable hours doing the same thing. So that doesn't look too good. And then you start looking at some of the other things that are taking place, and the future's looking kind of confusing and not all that great, unless you start seeing the mountain of real opportunity that's right now fogged in because you don't know how to look. What this system does is it blows away the fog so that you can see the personal and professional opportunity that's there for you to grow your business in new ways, to do both and, meaning, sure, I'm going to have some hourly billing, but there's also a way that I can bill in a whole new way, and I can see how I can do that, and I can learn how I can do that. Those are the things that make that invisible visible in this system. Yeah, the first step in becoming anticipatory is to realize that there is more than death and taxes that you can see. See, if we think that it's impossible to predict the future, what do? We hunker down, we protect and defend, we go to what we're familiar with. But when we can see that actually there's far more than you can predict than that, just like we know after fall is winter, and we know when the next presidential election is, and we know when there's sales cycles, and we know when there's tax cycles. Just like we know those things, if we could see all of the hundreds and hundreds of things that you could see, all of a sudden with that visibility, wow. So it starts with an understanding and a belief that there's more than death and taxes that you can predict. That begins you a really great journey.